Welcome to the Vibrant, Wild, and Free series with Rebecca Shisler Marshall and Erin Sharaf. We are here today to talk to you about feeling better and about bringing magic into your life. And this is a wonderful way to start this because Erin is all about magic. And for those of you who don't know her, I just adore Erin and all of her magical ways and mindful ways and how she truly creates so much magic in her everyday life and for her clients as well. So I'm so glad to be here with you, Erin.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Rebecca. And I am so glad to be here with you, my soul sister, my shamanic wife, my partner in crime, my goddess.
I love
And
it.
Rebecca, I love her so much. And if you know her, I'm guessing you love her too. And if you don't know her, I'm so thrilled to introduce you to her. She is a tenured professor and a scientist and a researcher. And she's also a mystic, and she is really all about vibrant, healthy living at all levels: mind, body, spirit, energy. And if you can see how vibrant and lovely and healthy she is, and helps people do that every single day. And we need more of Rebecca in the world. So here we are together
Love
to
it.
bring you a series of conversations that will hopefully be a service to you in terms of finding more purpose, vitality, freedom, magic in your own life.
Yes. Yeah, Erin, I love that you said that because we both are, come from this background of scientific background, of knowledge based, mind based living. And yet you too are also a mystic. And this combination of science and mysticism is really why we wanted to come together and chat. That our mission is really to help other people see that those can be together, that science and mysticism don't have to be exclusive of each other. They don't have to. And our mission is to pull these together to help you find that course that you are on, that path that you're on to wellness and peace. And I just love that we are just even talking about this. There's not a lot of people talking about how science and mysticism are actually fit beautifully together.
Yes, I agree. And Rebecca and I have had so many great conversations over the years that we've known each other. And we're both offering up services individually and together. And we thought, why don't we bring some of these conversations just out into the public realm and have people join us who don't have the luxury, maybe, of necessarily immersing themselves in these topics for as much time as Rebecca and I do.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Here we are. Yes, I love that because it really is. I think we've started, in many of, we've done workshops together and have done trainings together and just in travels in the car together as we're just talking about how, well, what if, what if hospitals could look at things in a different way? What if corporate worlds could look at things, look at it from a more holistic perspective? And we both get really excited about the possibilities of what could happen, what our world could look like if we were able to just kind of bring a little spotlight, show a little opening of a window to people who might not have that experience or opportunity to see things in a different way. So I'm so excited to be opening the blinds a little bit to see the possibilities.
Yes. And the other thing that I love about Rebecca and our time together is that we dream really, really big. And I think we're both good at helping to kind of expand the possibilities for each other. And we want to do that for you. And we really want to do that for the country and the world, to just kind of smash the limitations that are there and, you know, say, how can we rebuild things in a way? If we had the magic wand, what would the world look like? What would our lives look like? What would our families look like? and to really not be afraid to dream big, because if you can't imagine it, then how can you possibly get there? So
Yeah.
having somebody hold space for that big of a dream has been really important for me in terms of having some of those things actually come into fruition.
And I love, Erin, you're so good at dreaming. I mean, that's one of your, I think it's one of your, like superpowers of not only dreaming for yourself, but as you said, holding space for other people to dream this new reality of what can be, of the
Mm.
possibilities, and inviting that in to actually become a reality instead of just, oh, well, wouldn't it be nice? It's not just that, oh, well, it's, what if we really could change the way our society or our system viewed wellness or viewed, health and happiness and fulfillment and purpose in a way that just was very meaningful and, you know, just heart based. So I love that you're mentioning that dreaming, because I think that, in the work that we're putting out into the world, that's a core component of it, that dreaming.
Mm. Yes, yes, absolutely. And the other piece that I love that I think you really bring to the table, Rebecca, is the digging deeper and not just accepting the status quo, but getting other sources of information from all sorts of different places and putting them together in a way that, I guess what I'm trying to say is not accepting the blanket truths that society says, this is just the way it is, this is the way things are, this is what healthy looks like, this is the best we can do. And Rebecca's scientific eye and real curiosity and burning passion for health and wellness and seeing how things really aren't working in so many ways and saying, wait, there's more to this story. And going using her researcher skills to say, oh, wait, look at all of this. I didn't know about all of this. And then bringing that in a way that makes you feel so much better. And then, okay, well, what's another layer here? Oh, you go down another pathway. I didn't know about all of this. And all of this can really make you feel better, And so there's all these layers of things that I think I can speak for you, Rebecca, when I say that neither one of us was taught in our conventional schooling, but that are no less real and valid and important than some of the mainstream concepts. And it's been so much fun to discover these together, to put them into play in our own lives and the lives of our clients, and to bring them out into the world in bigger and bigger ways every year. So it's been really exciting to do that
I,
with you.
and I love that, I'm just seeing this connection too, of right, like I'm always thinking, well, there's got to be a better way to do something than, this traditional system. And the dreaming work in the same way kind of gets at the same piece of it, right? That we're dreaming this new reality. So it's like allowing there to be another possibility, and um, opening to this new perspective, or like, well, what if it doesn't have to be that way? What if we open to, you know, not just this little box that we think we see, but what if we open to taking down those walls and actually seeing something different? And I think what both of us are seeing with our clients and the work that we do is, as scientists, we're also gathering evidence that it doesn't have to be the old paradigm. It doesn't have to be just one particular way. And we see it again and again and again. And that's one of the things for me as a scientist is like, I cannot refute the evidence. And the evidence is clear that there's something different than what I was taught in my traditional, research-based background of the scientific question. And I'm seeing this evidence that of the evidence towards mysticism, which sounds kind of funny to say it in that particular way, but there's this science behind it, that it exists and that it works.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm curious, Rebecca, how are you defining mysticism?
For me, I think of mysticism as anything that can't really be explained. So a lot of people, one of my particular trainings that we both share is in shamanism. And the spirit realm, I think of that connection with beings as something that a lot of people would, with a scientific background, would say, you can't measure it, you can't scientifically explain it, but what I can measure are the results that people see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that, so when I'm thinking of mysticism, I think about that realm um, of energy, of spirit, of, for me, even mysticism is mind body connection that can't even necessarily be explained, although there is a lot of scientific evidence for specifically like how mindfulness can affect our physical conditions. But yet it still kind of falls in the realm of mysticism as well. It's kind of a nice bridge place, that mindfulness of um, how our mind and emotions can affect our physical health.
Right, right. I think that's a great explanation. And I also keep coming back to Rebecca Solnit, the author. She talks about the tyranny of the quantifiable, that when we only prioritize and we only deem important that which can be measured, we are then discounting vast amounts of other information
Yes.
and thereby limiting ourselves and creating a smaller world than what is possible.
Yes.
And the physician Rachel Naomi Remen talks about trading mystery for mastery and that it has diminished us.
Yeah.
And so, it's a fairly new way of looking at the world in our current modern society, that we not only discount, but in many cases, kind of put down all that stuff that cannot be measured with the rational mind.
Well, and I think it's interesting, I love that you bring those two up, and the idea of that it's different. And I think of, it is new and yet it's not new. And I think about Gestalt and his way of saying, the whole is different from the sum of the parts. And when we take mysticism apart, and I think about, there's a lot of like Reiki research, right? And we say, well, we're going to study this in this particular way, and you break it down to the pieces or the parts, sometimes you lose the essence of what you're really trying to study by doing that. And so you
Yes.
may be able to capture a result, but maybe the mechanics of it, or it's like energy, trying to quantify the energy is really challenging.
Yes, yes. And I'm not putting down science. There's definitely a place for that, and it's
For
created
sure.
all sorts of amazing possibilities. But there's that and this. Bringing them both together is really, I think, where the magic is.
Yes, right. I totally agree that there's so much available to us from science, and right, there's the and piece, and there's a whole bunch of stuff out there that either hasn't been studied yet or is really challenging to quantify, or that
Right.
or that we lose it just in the looking at it, as we talk about in as talked about in quantum physics, right? That whole new area that's come about just by changing and looking at it, changing our focus on it, we then change the actual thing that we're looking at.
Right, right, right. And I think so. Mindfulness was a doorway into this world, I think, for both of us. And that is a really, I think, beautiful practice all on its own, but it's also kind of a bridge practice between the science and this other area, because there is now a fairly extensive scientific database around mindfulness
So much,
with
so much.
all sorts of medical conditions. I mean, we even know that it changes the structure and function of the brain. In as little as 8 weeks of practice, the brain is thicker in certain spots and it's wired differently. And these are things that can absolutely be measured and are being measured in labs all over the world at this point.
Yeah.
So mindfulness has been a really important bridge topic for both of us. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yes. Yeah, it was really one of the places, like, kind of an entry point for me to understanding that there could be a different way of being, in my own life too, but also that there was, that people were studying this, that it
Yeah.
didn't have to be separate, that science and mysticism didn't have to be separate, that they could be brought together.
Right. I think when I first came to mindfulness, I was still identifying as a scientist and kind of shunning all of this other stuff. I didn't respect it. I didn't want it. I wasn't looking for it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of started to happen. And I don't know, maybe as we go through some more of these series and conversations, some of those stories will come out. But things just started happening in my own life that were undeniable and unexplainable in any sort of rational scientific way. Wonderful things, incredible things, things that I don't think I could have possibly made happen through the other way of being in the world, that's just completely linear and rational. So once I saw enough of those things happening in my own life, I started to say, wait a minute, something is happening here. What is it? And let me explore.
Yeah.
How was it for you? How did you start to really get into this world?
I think it was similar. My entryway was yoga first, and which is had a very mindful component to it as well. But um, it was amazing for me. It was much more on a personal level of like, oh, I can experience these changes. I don't have to feel miserable. I don't have to feel, without energy. And I was, physically ill. And to see that by doing, physical practices like yoga or the meditation that we did at the end, that the quality of my mind shifted so much that then it was like, I want to study how this is possible. I want to know. So I incorporated it into my research because I saw people were actually doing research on yoga and mindfulness and meditation, and wanted to go deeper into learning meditation and mindfulness for myself too, not just the little bit at the end of the yoga session, but more, more. How can I incorporate this into my life more? Um,
Right.
yeah. And seeing like that was at least 15 years ago. And to think about how much has changed in the research, in the scientific evidence, in both in yoga and but especially in mindfulness, it's just blown up exponentially the amount of people interested because there are real measurable results. And I love that you say that like you were skeptical of it, because that's perfect, right? To walk in with like a skeptic's mind and then go, oh, wait, there's actually something to this.
Yeah. I eventually came to the conclusion that I was doing it the hard way for a really long time. I thought, why do it the hard way? I'm going to go all in and just see how easy and fun it can be.
And I think that's really important. Why do it the hard way? Because my hunch is that there are a lot of people. I mean, I know I was the same way. I found there was a really hard way of doing things. And I was doing it the really hard way too. And I suspect that there are a lot of people out there who think that's the only way.
Yes. Yes.
Think that's who this is for. So if you're listening and you think things are really hard, why do they have to be hard? Or they just have to be hard. I invite you to the possibility that maybe that's not true. Maybe there is an easier way.
And maybe that's a beautiful way to kind of wrap up this first conversation here, Rebecca.
Yes,
It doesn't have to be so hard.
it doesn't.
It's not that you wave a magic wand and all of the things in your life disappear, but you can be in relationship with those things in a different way. And
Yes,
you can perhaps call upon more support than you have been calling upon.
yes. Yeah, I think that is so true. I love that. And in essence, it's possible to feel, as the series is called This Vibrant, Wild, and Free. Like there's a reason that we called it that. Is there are possibilities of living not just from it doesn't have to be hard place, but even bigger and more vibrant place
Yes.
as possible.
And why should people keep tuning in, Rebecca? What are some of the juicy things that we will be talking about and exploring?
Well, I think, as you can tell, we're both very passionate about this. So we are going to be talking about and exploring how you can have a life that is more vibrant, wild, and free, that is a little, even if that seems way out of reach, but one that feels a little easier, feeling a little better in your life. And our goal is, really our intention is to have this be of value, that we can bring you ideas and some, tips and maybe just some things that would be helpful for you. And also just to think about the possibilities of what could be available when you're pulling together the science and mysticism, as we're pulling together the evidence of things that are out there in the world. I think of Lynn McTaggart's Power of Eight, her
Mm.
book, and some of her evidence where she's, really a skeptic. And yet she keeps pairing up with scientists to demonstrate the power of setting an intention and how that can change individuals, structures, societies. It's really quite fascinating to see.
So fascinating and so well said. And also, hopefully, we're going to have a lot of fun. I always have fun when I'm with Rebecca, and we have fun individually and together. And if you're watching this by video, I just came back from skating, which is why I'm slightly disheveled. But you've got to prioritize fun and play. We're in these bodies for a relatively short time. Enjoy, see what they're capable of, and just kind of maximizing things, mind, body, and spirit as best you can. So we hope to bring fun and joy and play and new possibilities and new frontiers for people as we move forward.
Yes, I love that. Play is such a vital piece, finding that thing that's delicious and joyful and going towards that instead of the hard thing,
Yes.
the
Yes, yes.
miserable pieces. Yes. Yeah, so we invite you to stay tuned as we have more. We're launching this on the solstice because it is a day of light, and that is part of this intention, is that we want to bring light to the world, light to
Mhm.
the people who are in need of it. So hopefully this will be of benefit. I know that it will. So is there anything else that you would like to add, Erin, before we wrap it up?
Just that my heart is so full and happy right now at this ability and this offering and being with you. I have a feeling that it's going to find some people that can really be served by playing with us. So I'm just very excited and appreciative of you and all of your gifts, Rebecca, and this partnership.
Oh, thank you so much, Erin. I feel the same way. And I know that together, if nothing else, we do know how to have fun. And so that's what you can stay tuned for, is how can, the science sometimes can feel a real dull and boring, as my students usually say, but um, it can actually be a good bit of fun as well. So I know that if you're interested in learning more about Erin, she has a mindfulness challenge that you can take. It's a 7-day mindfulness challenge. Erin, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, it's pretty straightforward. I'll put the link wherever links and you sign up, and every day you get a very brief, about 5 to 10 minute guided mindfulness practice. And so in 7 days, you can start to either reinvigorate if you've had a practice and lost it, or it's a really nice introduction to some of the core mindfulness practices. So if people
Wonderful.
want to do that, I will be happy to share that link with you.
Yes.
And Rebecca, you have free intro sessions for people to intro them to your work, right?
Yeah, I have free mini sessions, just 30-minute mini sessions for people if you are feeling like you're stuck or unwell and really are ready to feel better. You can schedule with me, and I'll put that link with this as well, so that you can come back to this series, or you can come reach out to either one of us, and we'll just continue to keep the conversation going about being vibrant and wild and free.
And bringing in the light.
Bringing
So
light. Happy solstice.
happy solstice. And yes, so to be continued.
To be continued. Wonderful. Okay, I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.